Alright, so welcome back to another video. Why did my voice do that? Welcome back to another video, y'all. Background is different because I am at work, but I just saw my Snap stories a few days ago, some memories, and I wanted to tell a story time about it. I don't know what I'm going to title this, but yeah, I guess let's jump right into the video. This story takes place, and I have the heater on because I'm cold. I was gonna put my work jacket on, but it has the logo and everything, and I'm not doing that. So this story takes place last year, and if you're not from Florida, well, I guess everywhere has a fair, but you know, the Florida State Fair comes once a year. So last year was very weird because they were still with the COVID stuff and all that. So the fair usually comes in February, but it came at a weird time last year. I forgot what month it came in, but when I have the receipts of the videos, so if I'll post the time or date, whatever, when the video, when the fair happened. So the state fair came at a weird time. Before all this, I was walking to my mom's house or whatever, and this, my mom used to live literally down the street from me. I'm in the process of moving. So I'm walking down the street, and cars always do this, they honk at you or whatever, and I don't even remember what I had on that day, but nothing too explicit, not that that matters. But yeah, I'm walking down the street or whatever, and a car is they honk at me and then they stop, and I keep walking because first off, the road that I'm walking on, it's very busy and you can't stop traffic. Bro, keep going. So I keep walking or whatever, and I have my headphones in because I'm never the one to be rude or disrespectful, because let me tell you something about Florida, man. Tampa, man, they will curse you the out. I know that's for everywhere, but it's y'all be butthurt. Next. So I kept walking or whatever. Y'all, this man he drives up because I keep walking. He makes a he drives up, he stops his car, and then he's like, hey. I keep walking. I'm not responding to A. I didn't say anything to you the first time. I'm gonna keep walking. This man starts his car, he makes a U-turn, and I'm walking on the sidewalk or whatever, but there's a little street that I'm crossing. Y'all, I thought this man was gonna hit me. He drives back, and the car comes in front of me. He gets out the car, and I'm I low-key thought I was gonna I know this sounds stupid, but y'all, I low-key thought I was gonna get kidnapped, just by the way he was driving. My dude was driving reckless. So he drives up in front of me. He stops the car. I keep walking, and he was like, oh, excuse me, miss, mind you. He comes out the car. He's an attractive man, I'll give you that. He's very attractive, dark skin, just how I like it, whatever. But he comes out the car with no shirt on. So he was like, oh, excuse me, miss, you look very beautiful, can I get to know you? I was like, oh, no, thank you, I'm good. He was like, oh, can I take you wherever you're going? I was like, oh, no, I'm going to my friend's house just down the street. He was like, well, I really would like to know you. Can I please have your number? I was like, I don't give out my number. Do you have Instagram or Snap? He's like, I don't have no social media, which I feel like he does, but then again, he doesn't, and I'll get later on into that. So I'm just like, oh, he was very persistent, so I'm just like, okay, whatever, here's my number. So I leave, whatever. I get to my mom's place. I'm over here telling my niece what just happened or whatever, and then he calls me. Oh, and for the sake of this video, we are going to call him Scorpio. The reason why we're going to call him Scorpio, he gave me a name. Most likely he goes by the names or nickname he gave me. I don't want to use that here, but I did call him Scorpio in real life because I just never believed that the name he gave me was really on his birth certificate, and I don't want to use his nicknames. And I call him Scorpio because his birthday is in November. And he was very much acting like a Scorpio, but we'll get into that. So, yeah, he calls me and I answered because I didn't, like, I gave him my number. I didn't know whose number it was. And it was like a weird area code number, too. So I answered, and then it's him. He was like, oh, like, you're so beautiful, yada, yada, yada. I really forgot our conversation that we had over the phone. So he's like, oh, thank you, yada, 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 whatever. That happens. Next day goes by. Now that I recognize his number, I'm not, like, answering when he calls. And when he texts, like, I respond, like, dry, like, one-worded answers. And then, I would just leave it at that. Why do I feel like I'm, like, foaming at the mouth? I took my medicine this morning. Yeah, I did. Okay. So, yeah, I'm not really responding back to his text messages or whatever. So I think one night, like, he FaceTimed me, and probably like a week or two went by, y'all, and I completely forgot about this man. Like, I forgot about him. So a random number FaceTimes me. I'm just like, who the hell is this? So I answered it because, you know, not gonna lie, it could have been one of, like, my old flings or whatever. So I answered, and it was him. I was like, oh, hi. And y'all, we were on the phone for like a good 3 to 4 hours, just like chopping it up about like random stuff. And I kind of like those conversations where you didn't expect it to go great, but it just went great. So, you know, we're chopping it up or whatever. And I think we get off the phone at like, I want to say 3, 4 in the morning. So he was like, oh, you know, I want to take you out. Like, what do you want to do? And like, he was asking me if I had any plans the next day. I was like, was I even working at the time? But oh yeah, I was starting a new job, so I had like a week or 2 off or something. So I was like, yeah, you know, I don't mind, like, we could go to the fair. And I think that was like the first or second day that the fair was open. So he was like, oh, you want to go to the fair? I was like, yeah. So before I get too deep into this, like, our conversation on the phone, we were pretty much just talking about religion, like a little bit about me, about him, you know, like he has a kid and all that stuff. And I usually don't deal with men who have kids, but my whole thing is I don't want to, I mean, that's my preference, but I don't want to, like, stop whoever comes to me comes, like, if they're a good person or whatever. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but I should have left him alone when he said he got a kid. So we're talking about going to the fair or whatever. He's like, okay, like, be ready by this time, that time, yada yada yada. I'm like, okay. So, you know me, the next morning I wake up, I'm so hyped, I get a good morning, beautiful, or whatever. And it's crazy because some guys they be asking you out the next day or the few days before that. They don't be hitting you up with reassurance, and I need some reassurance. Even though this heater is in front of me, I'm a little chill. They don't be hitting you up with reassurance, and it's just like, sir, don't we have plans? So I like the fact that he had hit me up with the, my gosh, I'm cold. I like the fact that he hit me up with the plans or whatever, like the good morning text. So he was like, oh, are you getting ready? I was like, yes. So, you know, I'll post like what I had on that day. It was nothing fancy or whatever, but I felt cute as. So, you know, I was happy or whatever. So he was like, oh, I'm running a little late because I'm picking something up for you. I was like, okay, whatever. So I sent him my address, whatever, because, you know, I don't know why I trusted him to pick me up. So I sent him my address. He comes. Before, like, I get in the car, like, he opens the door for me. And y'all, he had flowers, like a bouquet of flowers on the seat. And I'll post that here too. Like, everything I'm talking about, y'all will see it here in the video somewhere. So I was like, oh my gosh, that is so sweet. And if y'all watched my last video, the one before I moved, where I was talking about, did I call him Chuck? I forgot what I called that man, Chuck, whatever. One of my story times about the guy who had got me flowers when I graduated. I told him, I was like, dang, like, you're the second, well, yeah, you're the second man besides my father to ever get me flowers. Like, I love flowers so much. And men, if you're watching this, females love flowers. All females love flowers. I don't give a fudge what they say, what you hear, what she tells you. We love flowers. It could be the most, we could have like a rough day, and if you get us a flower just because it's Tuesday or something, we will love it. We will appreciate it. We love flowers. Anyways, back to the story. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, you're the second man besides my dad to ever get me flowers. Like, I love this. Oh my gosh. He was like, see, I'm trying to step different, yada, yada, yada. You know, just talking big stuff. So I'm like, oh, okay. So he was like, oh, we got to stop by my place so I could get ready. Which I thought he was already ready, but I guess, you know, he's a street pharmacist, like a heavy street pharmacist. So I guess, you know, he was like making moves all morning or whatever. So he wanted to go home and get ready. So I was like, okay, I don't mind. So I go into his place. AC is booming. Wi-Fi is booming. It low-key looked like a trap, but it was very clean. And he was like, oh, you know, I just moved here and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, you know, whatever. Very nice apartment and stuff. Y'all, as soon as I walk into his room, toys everywhere. And when I say toys, I'll post a little emoji or whatever. Toys everywhere. So I was a little taken back, but I'm just like, whoa, like, okay. So I FaceTime my niece or whatever, and me and my niece, we're like best friends. We're like sisters. Well, I don't want to say best friends, because if she watching this, she might be like, girl, no, we're not. But we're like sisters. Like, that's my little sister. I love her. But I FaceTime her, and I tell her, like, girl, can you open the door for me? Like, me, and it's crazy. That's another subject or topic for another day, but it's like, I tend to overhype the basic things that should just be like standard, like basic procedure, and I overhype it, and I need to stop doing that. I was like, girl, you know, he opened the door for me. He got me flowers. Like, he over here stepping different and shit. And like, I'm just telling her, and then I'm like showing her around the room. She was like, y'all, she starts naming the toys, and I'm like, how do you know these toys? Like, I don't even know what, like, I don't even know what none of these things are. Like, I know what they are, but I don't know them name for name, like word for word. She's over here naming this one. Oh, that's that 47. That one is a, like, 42. Like, girl, how you know the names of these toys? So the shower cuts off. I was like, oh, girl, he getting out the shower. I gotta go. So he gets out the shower. He's getting ready or whatever. He's just like staring at me, and I'm like, what? Like, he's like, oh, you're just so pretty. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And y'all, mind you, I was 26 at the time, and he was 25. Not that age matters, but whatever. I just wanted to throw that out there. So he gets ready, and we're driving to the fair or whatever. And I only made one story time about my ex Switch, but when I bring him up, that's who I'm referring to. So we're driving or whatever. He was like, oh, before we go, I gotta make a stop real quick. And I was like, okay. And as we're driving, like, he's driving to my old neighborhood, and in my head I'm just like, okay, he said he's gonna go pick something up, and you're driving to my old neighborhood, and the only other street pharmacist that I know that I used to deal with is Switch. So as we're getting, like, we're literally passing through the neighborhood, as we're getting closer to where Switch lives, I was like, wait, who are you stopping by? He was like, oh, I'm stopping by Switch. And when he says his name, I, like, my heart stops. I was like, oh, he was like, why, what happened? I was like, oh, like, that's my ex. And me, like, I don't know, like, dudes, I don't know if this is, like, alarming or code or whatever, but if I used to deal with somebody, I'm gonna let you know. Like, I didn't think that was being rude or disrespectful or anything. So I let him know that Switch used to be my ex or whatever. He was like, oh, okay. I was like, is that an issue or anything? Because, like, I mean, like, if that's an issue, you could, like, drop me back off at home or whatever. And I told him that. I don't know why my dumbass said that. And I was like, you know, I could take an Uber back home, like, if you don't want to go on the date anymore, like, whatever. He was like, nah, that's cool or whatever. So he parks his car, and My heart is beating so fast because I do not want to see Switch, because he's very, like, he's on and off. He's a freaking switch. I did not want to see his face. So we didn't end up seeing him. Like, of course, he went in to get whatever he needed to get, and then we left. So what is wrong with my voice? We're going to the fair or whatever, and oh, excuse me, it's hot as hell that day, y'all. So we park, we get out the car. Any of y'all who deal with street pharmacists know they have like a big wad of stuff, you know. And he had like 3 phones with him, and my bag wasn't even that big enough. But once I seen that he had like all those phones, I was like, let me put it in my bag, because why you got all these phones? Duh, girl, he's a street pharmacist. So we're walking around. The first like few moments of us walking around, it was a little quiet because I guess he was a little nervous, and I was kind of nervous too, but it's like, it was whatever. So we're walking around. We start getting on rides and stuff. We didn't get a wristband because I wasn't going on rides with him like that or whatever. And like I said, you know, I'll post everything in here. I think we stayed at the fair for like a good 3 to 4 hours. I believe we did. So we're playing games, we're walking around, and y'all, like, this man was trying to play every game to win me some prizes. He won me, well, not even he won me, I won myself some goldfish. I won myself some fish, and then I think he won me like a big teddy bear or something. But he was literally playing every game, and like I was paying attention to how much he was like spending and playing, and he wasn't really winning that much. But then again, I was just like, dang, like, he's not winning me pretty much anything. So we get food or whatever, and then we're just like sitting there talking. And I think after, once we got food, like, we started like warming up to each other. We're cracking jokes and this and that. So and we also went to see animals and stuff, whatever. So we leave the fair, and I'll post a picture of the car. And y'all, this man, like, before we left the fair, he got because I thought he was gonna get a t-shirt or whatever. Y'all know those graphic tees that you get from the fair. I thought he was gonna get a t-shirt with one for me, one for his daughter, and one for him, because he asked how to spell my name, and I gave it to him. So I'm waiting or whatever. We're waiting around, and by this point, like, it's the end of the day, so he's calling people back. You know, his phone was blowing up, so he's calling people back, yada yada yada. He gets like his hoodie back, and it has my name on it. And I'm not gonna lie, like, the hoodie was fire, and I wish that I kept it, but whatever. So we leave the fair or whatever. He's like, oh, like, you want to run a couple of plays with me? My dumbass was like, sure, I'll come. Stupid girl, you should have just went home. So we're there, like, I'm just there, just riding around with him, doing whatever. So we go back to his place, and then I think we're just there, like, chopping it up or whatever. And then like, I still have my fish with me, so I'm like, oh, like, before you take me home, like, can we stop at Walmart? You know, I want to get like a fish tank for my fish or whatever. So I do that or whatever, and then he drops me back off home. And while he's like taking me home, he's acting a little weird, like, he's acting off. So I'm just like, what the fuck, like, you're being weird. So I didn't pay no mind to it, you know, had a great day, had a great night. Wake up the next morning, I'm like, hey, good morning or whatever, and he was like, what's up? Red flag. I'm just like, what's up? So I'm like, hey, like, what's going on with you? And then he was like, nothing, just chilling. Like, just very standoffish. Mind you, yesterday we had a great day. Today you're acting very weird. And I'm just like, what's going on? So he had called me or whatever while he's making plays. He was like, oh, I feel like you played me. I'm like, how did I play you? Like, what's going on? He was like, oh, you know, I spent like $800 on you yesterday, and you just went in the house like it was nothing. First off, nobody told you to spend $800 on me. I didn't even peep how much money you were spending. Honestly, I thought he probably spent like $200-300 max, because I think it was like a $25 admission to get in the fair anyway. So I'm just like, you dropped me off home like I thought we had a good day. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, like you trying to play me for some sucker. I say you spent all this money on you yesterday, and like you ain't even do nothing, da da da. And I'm just like, what did you expect? Like a kiss? Like what? Or whatever. And he's like, nah, like I at least expected something because I spent so much money on you. So I'm like, you expected me to sleep with you or whatever? Like what? He's like, well, something like that. I at least expected you to invite me in your crib. I'm not doing that. I'm already like putting my neck out by letting you know where I live and letting you walk me to my door. I'm not doing all that. Now you're doing the most. Like, relax. I literally just met you like yesterday. Well, not yesterday, but it's been like, we only had like a deep ass conversation for one day, and then you took me out on a date. But it's like, sir, like, what are you talking about? So he was like, oh, like, I really want to see you. Can I come pick you up? And I was like, okay, sure. So he picks me up. We're just like, I'm riding around with him all day. We go back to his place, and then we're just talking, and then like he starts like saying everything. He's like, oh, and then I really feel like you played me for saying that Switch was your ex. Like, I did not need to know that. Like, I feel like you my girl now, so I don't want nobody that I know to have you, yada yada yada. Like, just saying a whole bunch of stuff, and in my head, like, I like off rip, like this was a red flag, because it's like, you're talking to me as if we've been dealing with each other for years. We literally just met. Like, you're being very like toxic, and I should have called him toxic, but I feel like everybody on YouTube uses calls somebody toxic in one of their story times, so whatever. Like, I'm just like, okay, Scorpio's acting really weird and really like, just like, bro, relax. Like, I deadass just met you the other day, and mind y'all, we were having this conversation in front of one of his brothers or whoever the hell he was, and his brother was just like, facts, yep. So I'm just like, where the hell are you coming in at? Like, bro, like, what are you talking about? So what happened? I think like he had to go make a play or whatever. He's like, oh, I'll be right back. So he leaves me inside his house or whatever. So I'm just like, okay. So I'm over here like FaceTiming my niece Kiara. I'm telling her everything. She's like, oh yeah, he's getting very much toxic, and he wanted some coochie out of you, and just because he spent that much money on you, that shouldn't matter. Like, that's what he's supposed to do. You know, just like, we're just talking or whatever. So he comes back and he's like, oh, I don't even want to deal with you no more. Like, if I was really like one of that, pretty much he was like, oh, like, I'm that nigga. Like, I really kick bitches out of my shit. Like, I'll deadass violate the fuck out of you right now. Like, talking disrespectful to me. And I'm just looking at him like, one thing about me, when you're giving me rah-rah energy, I'm not feeding into it. I'm not giving it back to you. So I'm just sitting here looking at him, and y'all, he's like, I'm like sitting down, and he's like pacing back and forth like, yeah, I really do this shit. Like, I really have females violate you. Like, I'm really that nigga. Like, just going in. You're going in like this because I didn't give you no play yesterday. I didn't give you no pussy. Like, are you dumb? A little boy mentality, like mindset. So he's just going in, and all this stuff. You know, if you don't want to see me no more, then I could just go home. Like, I'll just get my Uber and go home. And y'all, he like flipped the switch. He's like, oh, you know, I'm sorry. Like, you know, I just been hurt in the past too, and I can see that you're a really nice girl, and I just don't want to lose that. We just met. What are you talking about? My dumbass is over here like soaking this shit up. I should have never agreed to him being like, oh yeah, you can come pick me up. No, fab. So we're just talking, and he's like sitting here trying to caress me like, oh, you know, I'm sorry. I just been hurt in the past and this and that, yada yada yada. So I'm just like, oh, okay. So I feel lightheaded. Did I take my medicine? I think I did, but I don't know. I feel lightheaded for some reason. Could be because I didn't eat breakfast too. But after that conversation happened, he gets me an Uber to go home because he's making plays or whatever. So, y'all, I feel like I'm gonna get myself in trouble, but F it, whatever. I'm already in the story. So, we, at this point, because I don't know why, but like, I like having conversations, or like I like attention from men, but I don't like that like emotional attention. I just want to like sit here and chat with you. So we're like on and off, like fake on and off, like texting here, not texting, texting, not texting. So it was one night my cousin was having I was about to say sleepover. She was having a housewarming party. So we went to her party, and I'll post clips of that in here too because they're super funny. So we go to that, and I got faded, and I was drunk as hell. My cousin only drinks Hennessy, and that's all she had that night. So we're drinking Hennessy. I'm faded as well. So at this point, it's time for everybody to go. And my cousin was like, "Oh, you know, I'll take y'all home." But by this time, I was texting Scorpio. So I'm like, "Oh shit, you know, I haven't spoken to him in a minute. Like, let me call him to see if he want to come pick me up." So big mistake. I called him. I was like, "Hey, like, can you come pick me up at my cousin's house? Excuse me, or whatever." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm on my way." So he comes, picks me and my niece up, and I'll post the snapping.
Last nigga want the last nigga bang. Think I'm pussy cause I sing a little bit, bitch, I'm bang.
So where he drops her off first, and then he I think he had his brother with him as well. He drops her off first, and then he was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, can you take me home?" He was like, "I'm taking you home." I was like, "Yeah." So he, in his mind, he probably thought I was gonna like spend a night bag or like grab something or whatever. And then he was like, "Oh, you coming back?" Like when I was getting out the car, he was like, "Oh, you coming back?" I was like, "No, I'm gonna go to sleep." He was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep." He was like, "What the?" Like, y'all, he went off. He was like, "Get the fuck out, get the fuck out of my car." I was like, "What's wrong with you? Like, I asked you if you could pick me up and drop me off home. Like, that's what we agreed on." And I'm drunk as shit, but I remember. So he was like, "Nah, get the fuck out of my car. Get the fuck out. Fab, I don't want to deal with you right now. Get out before I violate you." And I just get out the car and I go to sleep. So I wake up the next morning. He's blown up my phone, y'all. He's over here like, he's like, "Oh, what you did last night was really trifling. Like, you had me waste gas." Y'all, gas prices weren't even up. Gas was probably still $2, $3, $4 back then. Not even $4, $2, $3 back then. So what are you talking about? I had you waste gas. Like, what do you do for a living? You're making, like, stop, relax, stop, please stop. So he's over here like, "Yeah, you had me waste gas money to pick you and your niece up. That's fucked up. I really should ask you for some gas money. You're not getting it back. I asked you if you would be able to pick me up, and you agreed." Like, the fuck? Weirdo. So at this point, I'm not dealing with it because I'm just like, okay, all right, okay. And then he gets mad or whatever, and I'm like, okay, is the conversation done? Because I don't want to deal with this. He hangs up. Good for you, babe. What the fuck? I think a few days go by or whatever. A few more days go by. And at this point, we're like, we like stop like texting each other, whatever. And I'm not gonna lie, like every time I would get bored, I would like hit him up, and like he would like pick me up and like go make plays or whatever. And then I think the straw that broke the camel's back, the last time that like we ever seen each other in person he picked me up, and he was making plays or whatever, and I think we had got food, and then we went back to his place. So at the time, I was like dealing with a person. I don't want even want to. At the time, I was dealing with a person, and you know, like me and that person were going our separate ways. So you know, I was entertaining him. So we went to his place eating food or whatever, and y'all, like, the conversation that we had was just weird. He was like, oh, you know, I feel like I love you, like I do love you, but maybe we weren't meant to be together for real or whatever, and maybe I was just put into your life just to give you advice on certain things. Like, he was just like being weird about everything, and like he started opening up to me about like stuff that he did in the past. Like, how do I like that's still, he did things to people that I can't speak of, like that type of stuff. And I don't know if he was lying or if he was telling the truth, but he looked like he was telling the truth because of just like his background and just like how, like, you know, his mind works and stuff. So I started to get a little scared. I'm just like, okay, he does this to people or did this to people, and you know, he has like the feds looking for him, like just a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm just like, yeah, I think this is the last time I'm gonna mess with him. So what's it called, I think that night, like, he dropped me off home like nothing happened. And y'all, it was one time where he was trying, like, I think we were kind of like play fighting or whatever, but he was like trying to like be on top of me, and like, you're doing too much, I'm not going for that. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I just want to tease you. I'm good. I don't need teasing. Like, I'm good. I'm very straight. I'm celibate right now, so whatever you got going on, I don't need it. I feel like the story is dumb long. So I think the last time that we stopped like dealing with each other, he randomly, and that's the thing about him, he would always have like different numbers or whatever. Y'all, I'm skipping a whole part. This is when I really stopped messing with him. But after like his whole conversation about him saying that he loves me and all that stuff, I randomly get a call from a number probably like a week or two later, and he's saying, oh, his brother called me. He's like, oh, Fab, like, Scorpio got locked up, where I'm calling everybody around to put money together to get him out. You're not my man. I'm not sending you no money. So I was like, oh, like, how much is his bail? I think he said something along the lines of like 5K or 10K, something along the lines of that. So I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'll see what I can do. He was like, yeah, if anything, I'll text you and Cash App it to this number. I ain't Cash App nothing to nothing. So, what's it called? He gets out, I think, the next day or so, and he's like, at this point, I'm getting my hair done for this party. He's like over here, and my hairstylist is listening to everything. He's over here telling me how his brother set him up. His brother is really his cousin. He was like, yeah, he set me up. He told his girlfriend to say that I sexually assaulted her, and they came and raided my place, and they took all my toys, and they took everything that I have, and now I'm kind of like homeless. Like, he was just going in, and he was like, oh, do you think you would be able to send me a little something, yada yada yada, like just going in on like everything that he's going through. And it's weird because it's like, how you, first off, I thought they were trying to play me out of some money, because how is your bail that much, but then you got out the next day? And he was like, oh, you know, I called my sister and she has access to my money, so she was able to go into my bank account and take the money to bail me out. It was just giving weird. So like, as I'm listening to this, I'm like, okay, well, my phone is about to die and I'm doing my hair, so you know, I'll like hit you up later. Not my hairstylist, she wasn't trying to be in my business, but it's like, it's right there, we're on FaceTime and she's listening to everything. So she was like, you know, not to be in your business or anything, but he's lying. You know, I've dealt with a pathological liar before, and he's very much lying to you. You know, do what you want at your own risk, but don't send that man money. And honestly, I was gonna send him like $50 or $100. I think I was gonna send him $50 at the time, but I was like, you know what, she right. So let me not send nothing. So I ain't send him nothing or whatever. So what's it called? It was a yawn, but it wasn't a yawn. Okay. So I didn't send him nothing. I ended up blocking his number because he kept texting me. He's like, oh, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Like, really helping me out. Da, da, da. I blocked his number. He somehow found me again. Well, my number hasn't changed. So he called me off of a different number one night. And I was on FaceTime with one of my friends. So I put her on mute, and I have him on my my MacBook or whatever, like just FaceTiming, talking, and he's going off again about how he like did some stuff to people and he misses me, he wants me to come back and this and that, and I'm just laughing at everything. And like once he starts saying like what he did to like certain people, my friend gets off the phone and she was like, I don't know if he lying or not, but if anything ever comes back, I do not want to be a witness. So which was funny, but I think that was like the last time I had like had a full conversation with him or whatever. And then I recently seen, probably like 2 or 3 months ago, if I saw the text message, I'll post it. But he texted me, he was like, hey, how you been? Ooh, excuse me. I did not respond. I think I deleted that message. If I didn't, I'll post it. But I really don't know what I'm gonna title this story. It was like a whole bunch of stories in one, just because I just dealt with that one person for like, I don't even know the time span or whatever, but I think all this craziness happened within 2 months, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. But yeah, that is the story of me dealing with a Scorpio who's really a Scorpio. I really don't know what I'm gonna call this story, but you know, the snap memories just like reminded me of him, and I just wanted to post him. I just wanted to post the story because I just thought he was like crazy. Like, what are you doing? But if you made it this far, thank you for watching my story. If you haven't already, go ahead and like, comment. Let me know what y'all want to see next. I might have a life update coming soon, so stay tuned for that. And I would say follow my social medias, but I need everybody on my Instagram to come to my YouTube. Oh my gosh, I'm so cold. Y'all, it's 7:32 right now. All right, so thank y'all for watching, and y'all will see me in my next video. Bye.